So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we understand the time of the end as per Mashiyach the prophet, 61st chapter. And then also the Mashiyach, when he first came, he completed the spring feast. Then himself started then Second Tabernacle services, and he received then obviously the first anointing for this job. So then, when the Mashiyach was brought before the authorities of his time, because of his completion of the spring feast, people then were asking questions, and he was brought then before the authorities of his time. So what was the Mashiyach's reaction when he was confronted then with the authorities of his time? So then, let's evaluate the holy language of Hebrew. In Hebrew culture, or the language, is very unique. You don't have, for instance, a history of what the words they mean when there are situations. Let's say, for instance, an example. When you have money, when you hear the word money, you understand as mostly, from the old-fashioned way, would be paper. It's money. When you speak, for instance, in Hebrew, and when the situations are taking place, there is not a specific word regarding the event. So when the Mashiyach was brought before the authorities, he spoke certain words in Hebrew that people did not understand. Because when the Mashiyach was completing the spring feast, he was completing then a simultaneous understanding of the spring feast, the substance of the feast itself, versus then he was showing the completion via the shadow prophetic events. So then, when he was brought before the authorities, he was brought before Gentiles, not tabernacling. However, when the Mashiyach spoke regarding the coin that was given to him, he said words in Hebrew that had a tone of organization and peace, but it's not a peace of tabernacling. It is a peace related with organization, based upon an act linked with conditional. So then you begin to understand, when the Mashiyach said, give to the government what belongs to the government, he was saying implicitly, and it was an order. The Creator himself from have spoken through him and said very specific words related with the event. So then it was a word related with organization and peace, but it's a peace mixed to organization related with a Gentile level of an order given. It can be a bit confusing, but truly is not. He couldn't say the word peace related with tabernacling, because then they would have to know the instructions. But there was a word with a tone of organization, but not related with tabernacling. So when he was brought before the authorities, and then they asked him, should the people pay taxes? The Mashiyach gave the order. You know why it was an order? Because there was a mixture of the set apart and Gentiles at the same time. Since those people, they were in a holy land, it had to be an order. You don't speak related with the set apart because the land was promised. The land over there was then promised from the Nile to the Euphrates. There is only a God and only a God only. So when he speaks in the land, always is in the form of order. So the people of the land of the time of the Mashiyach, when he said, give to the government what belongs to the government, it was an order. When we read the holy instructions from the outside of tabernacling, we tend to have the option, you can obey, but then you can, you can get around it or evade taxes or don't pay taxes. You have the liberty of not paying taxes. But then they regarded the Mashiyach or the Savior as God. But could God then give the order? No, either he is God or not God. So when he was there before the authorities on the land of Israel, on the land promised, then the Creator spoke to him. And he gave the order, give to the government what belongs to the government, and give to God what belongs to God. Now, either you understand what the Mashiyach was speaking Gentile level on the promised land, or then you don't understand what the Mashiyach said. If you tend to believe the Mashiyach then was God, then you have to understand he gave the order. Give to the government what belongs to the government. Give to God what belongs to God. So then, from the viewpoint, we do believe the Mashiyach was God. The objective is instant taxation, because the people, they were not educated. They don't understand what the Mashiyach said was implicit. That's why our system doesn't work. IMF predicted already 2 years before, in 5 years, our monetary system would ruin, because we did not do what the Mashiyach told us to do. And the primary fault clearly comes from the government, because the Mashiyach gave the first understanding of the entire content of the conversation. When he was given the space, then he spoke, and precisely he said, whose face is this on this coin? Give to the government what belongs to the government. He didn't say you should give to God first. You have to understand what level he's speaking of. Is the Mashiyach speaking of tabernacling? No, he's speaking of taxes. So since the context of the conversation is tax or taxes, the Mashiyach could not use tabernacling. But because the land was promised, it had to give an order. The order was give to the government what belongs to the government, give to God what belongs to God. If you do this, then there is a sense of organization. Then the pagans of the land understand there is a God ruler. If we want to organize our country, we must recognize and do what the Mashiyach told us to do. Give to the government what belongs to the government. Give to God what belongs to God. After the government then is served with taxes, you can believe any deity you can think of. Give to God what belongs to God after paying your taxes. Includes everybody on the land. And we understand the future is electronic. It's coming a time where then people that are not legal, they're going to be caught. You know why? Because thousands of people won't have any jobs. You know why? Because of the internet. And the Chinese system is coming. So those retailers and stores ordering great amounts of merchandise from China won't understand this factor. When the system comes, the price is going to be halved. In other words, close the shop. More competition in the market for jobs. Forces people to be on the internet. Because they're going to log on to get in the system. They're going to invest and get their money. For them to do this, they have to have a legal social security number. The only way any person non-legal would get around it is if the new system of the Chinese would provide a way without the tracking from the government. So then you understand the system is coming in the future. People are going to log on in computers. But then there is a system over there that does not use any domestic computerized systems. But then they have to initiate their purchasing with private money. In order to do this, you have to have banking. For you to have banking, you have to have a social security. But then there are always other ways of doing it. You can pay a person legal with multiple bankings and then only lend the name of the person with some money into the system and they can go and invest. Phantom investors, though they are legal. So you can expect a lot of computer work in the future under a name. You would have maybe 100 people working for the person. And the government does not receive a cent from. Because there is no tracking. So let's do this. Let's evaluate, for instance, the most famous internet. Okay, you have eBay, for instance, Amazon, and the other internet retailers. The new system is going to be as such. But rather than having products only with our monetary system value, they have their own. But then you're not only going to buy, you're going to invest at the same time. Why do you think there is a link with China, Bank of China, and Citigroup? There is a reason for it. Mortgages linked up with their system. They have the SWIFT system of China, only specialized in doing transactions of the internet. Oh boy. And then we have multiple financial systems with a closed circuitry where the government can't get their taxes from. And shortly 36 months is going to be a total chaos. Save, they began to track the existing financial institutions, and each person then instantly pays taxes. Does it not give you organization? Give to the government what belongs to the government. Well, but if you want, you have the right to be stupid. Such as our Secretary of State. You know, Americans have the right to be stupid. He should have first understand the system first gets taken care of. You get to 10%. And then you can be as stupid as you want. Don't be stupid with 10%. But if you want to be stupid with 90 of your own, then you could. But the way the Secretary spoke was, be 100% stupid. That's why the government has no answers. Goes to the President, goes to the House, goes to the Representative. Blame each other, roaming around. But they have their place over there in the Ozarks, and they're going to stick themselves in the ground like reptiles. The objective is somewhat simple. We give you the military, then the forward motion in making sure they come up with a system and they update the entire taxation of our country. Working 24/7 until it gets done. Then next, generation of more electricity. Updating of our grid. And revitalizing our industry. Because when the system comes and then people are going to close their shops, they're going to have another type of industry awaiting them so they can get online, get their money, pay their taxes, and then start doing trade in our own country. Such as reliable equipment, as we are famous of, serviceable, great service. And people would expect the government then to lean up and do the work properly, rather than so far enjoying each other's incompetence. During the time of the Second World War, we thought, because the waters of Pearl Harbor, the waters are not very profound. There is a lot of depth there, and then from the Japanese viewpoint, it was enough. They adapted special fins and torpedoes, and the ships got busted. Oh no, leave the financial institutions as private as they are, because it's safe this way. Sure. Precisely where they think they shouldn't do the work, precisely is where the system is coming from. But the government at the time, during the Second World War, thought, there is a great movement of aircrafts coming from the north. What was the answer of the other side of the line? Those are aircrafts coming from the mainland. Could the aircrafts come from the north? What is the government going to do with thousands of shops closing when the system is evident? Try to understand, as simple as you start as being an eBayer, you get the whole system. You simply have to type the type of product you want and you have a list. The new system as such. But then you have other icons over there where you can invest the same time you purchase and you have your products for sale. Via a closed circuitry. Myself, so far, I think I had paid taxes only maybe twice. More than 2 years doing technical work with the radios. Only paid taxes twice. How is it the government then later, when the monetary system is down, how are they going to be around people asking to pay taxes? And we won't let them become reptiles and go into the ground. Who's going to take care of the surface? But you know, people can be stupid. You know, the Secretary of State already said, you know, Americans, they have a right to be stupid. But be sure, those people who they are speaking with, the government is going to the ground as reptiles, and they have already their crude, they have electricity, the mountain over there has roads, 12 gates, somewhere they had landed these 12 gates for some place. They have buses outside, railroad tracks, farming. You know, it's nice being, you know, talking, have the right to be stupid, but is the person speaking of being stupid, is the person stupid? No, because the government has the end already covered. But you have a right to be stupid. So either the individual is a scoundrel, speak what doesn't understand, or it should be more specific. You know, you can be stupid if you desire with your 90%. 10 is of the government. We don't play stupid when asking for taxes, because it was mandated by the Creator Himself. But then you can be stupid, you know. You have a right to be stupid. Only be sure of it. Your government, whom you trust to let you be stupid, they're going to be underground. Watch the videos on YouTube. Ozarks. From Governor Ventura. From around the Midwest area. He was documented. He served in the Navy SEAL team, and he was very nice. Came out with honorable discharge and so on and so forth, became governor, and he recorded a whole 9 yards. No BS. So then for the government to come around via Secretary of State, oh, you have the right to be stupid, it doesn't fit. He's speaking from a perspective of let the people be stupid while the government is covered going underground. And you yourself here, you can be stupid, you're going to be on the surface with no help in the future. So let's watch these scoundrels very closely and make sure we have instant tax deductions.